today what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate one way that we can create a histogram using Microsoft Excel. Now keep in mind that Excel does have, for people that might be familiar with it, an inbuilt, like if we go to the statistics, histogram creator, which it's useful in some circumstances. I find in my experience though, that it's not flexible enough to display exactly what you're after in a histogram, and you're better off doing it the old school way before this became a feature in Excel. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today, because you have a lot more control over what your histogram looks like when you're doing it this way. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work out our bin size. I've sort of decided our bin size for you, but I'm also going to show you how you could quickly determine, what might be appropriate with your data as if you're doing it by hand. So here's our data over here. I'm going to highlight it. Now, for this to be really useful to us, we generally want this sorted rather than this random, unsorted data here. So we can quickly sort our data by clicking on the Data tab. And you can see here we've got this A to Z with an arrow. If I hover over for a little bit, it says Sort Smallest to Largest. If I press this button, you can see here that it automatically sorts our data for us without having to do that long, cumbersome process ourselves. So it's really neat because we can get a picture of our data. You can see it ranges from 37 through to 100. I mean, we technically could see that here as well. But it gives us a picture of what our data is going to look like and what sort of bin size might be appropriate. Now I've selected a bin size of 10 here because it's just, it gives us 7 different columns, which I think is a pretty good number for us to analyze overall shape and all that of our data. Now, what we're going to do from here is there are different ways you could type in formulas for it to quickly count it, but because there's not much data here, I'm actually just going to count myself how many fit in here because it will actually be quicker in this circumstance. So you can see here I've got one that fits between 31 and 40 because remember we're dealing with discrete data. This is greater than 30, so 30 wouldn't fit in here, but it's equal to or less than 40, so 40 does fit here. And that's really important when we're dealing with this one because 50 does fit in this one, does not fit in this one. So we've got 2 that fit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that fit here because all those 70s fit in that bin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that fit in here. You've probably got to 3, 4, 5. Double check your answers when you're doing it this way. All right, because you're doing it by hand, it's really important to probably double check your solutions that you've got here. But basically what we've done is we've now completed a frequency table, and we're going to build our histogram from a frequency table. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can just quickly highlight like all this section and go to this build button here and hit the 2D column. So we want a 2D column graph, this basic graph. I'm going to show that this way this time. Because I usually start with a blank canvas. But if you do this, this is what you'll get. So you can see Excel's done a pretty good job of determining what these labels need to be, what these labels should be, producing a bar chart for us. It's tried to guess what our title should be. In this case, it's probably not a title that we're wanting. So we're probably looking at, maths test scores as our title out of 100. But Excel's done a pretty good job otherwise. What it hasn't done though is it hasn't provided axes labels. So that's the first thing I'm going to quickly do just because that'll annoy me if I don't. So let's just label this. Down on our x-axis we have the maths test scores, which was N. And let's quickly add, so you can see here, I should actually show this, a chart design. When you've got this selected, that will pop up, you hit add, and then you've got these axes titles just in here. So horizontal, we want to make this frequency. So now we've got the axes titles so they don't really annoy me. It's really important to include all these things onto your graph. Now the thing about this right now is it's a column chart. It's not a histogram. A histogram doesn't have all these gaps in here. So we need to sort this out. So if we select the actual graph itself by pressing on it, right click it, what we can do is we can format the data series. And what this will do is it will open up a little tab over here, giving us different things that we can format. Now you can see here we've got gap width. At the moment it's 219%. Let's make that 0. And already you can see now we've just suddenly produced ourselves a histogram with our different bin sizes. Now, one thing I like to do with this, just because I like things to be a little bit separated so I can see exactly which one's which. If we click on this again, we go to format. We've got this shape outline. If I do black like this, you can suddenly see where those bars are. I think that's a lot neater and a lot nicer for this. And you can see here, we now have ourselves a histogram.